Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video to show you how to change the microphone in the LG G2. So to remove the back cover, what I found where you want to start is you want to take a SIM eject tool and remove the SIM card tray. It's a good place to start. And what I do is right in the hole there where the SIM card tray is, if I put my thumbnail in there and I take a pry tool, something like this, and a knife works good it's really fine to get in here. Anyways, if you pry out with your thumbnail, get this thing started in there, then you're probably able to hold it until you get a pry tool like this, a little plastic pry tool. And then once you're in there, your fingernails help. Then you just kind of keep working it down the side. And I would recommend before you go all the way down, come back up here to bring the top around like this. And if you just keep sliding all the way down around, sometimes using your finger nail in there still helps as you slide down through there. Sorry I can't show it the best with my camera. Then just bring it down around to the bottom. There it is. Next, what you will need is a Phillips screwdriver, a small Phillips. This is one like I have. And you will need to remove 7 screws here. There's one black one is the only one different here. All the others are the same. So go ahead and remove those screws. So once you have those 7 screws out of the logic board cover, just make sure to set that black one aside that was in here separately so you remember. Then you just pry up gently on this. Should pop right out. Has a couple clips over here that holds it a little bit. So there you go. Next, you will want to take your Phillips screwdriver and remove these 5 screws right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are all the same size. Now that you've removed those screws, you can just pry up anywheres here. Either here or here just with your fingers, or you can use the tweezers. And it just pops right out like that. So next we will want to use our spudger tool, which is a plastic pry tool, and we will want to remove the connectors for the dock connector that go up here. So first of all, you want to start with one of these connectors like this main one here. Pry that up, and then we need to pry up this connector. There's another connector here. And then there's another connector on the side here. Just carefully pry up on that. And then what you want to do is start with say this side here. And you have to slide under here. This all has adhesive under it, so be careful. And just rock back and forth a little bit. And pry that right up. And it should peel up. Then you'll want to take this adhesive loose and peel these right back like that. Now same for this other side. Just be very careful that it comes apart at the adhesive. I've had trouble before with on this side over here with this silver panel wanting to come up with it instead of pulling the adhesive off, so you want to be careful. They use some pretty strong adhesive. And just take it slow, there's no hurry, no rush in any of this. So we'll turn this around here, and then we'll peel this adhesive off right here as well. Now be careful on this side, as you're peeling up there's this little part that goes down in here. You'll have to go under that with something fine like a tweezers and just gently, that has adhesive under it too, gently lift up on it and it pops out. There, you can see what I mean. And then just pry that back all the way back to that part. To remove the dock connector, which has the charging port and the microphone and the headphone jack, everything in it down here, what you will need to do when you get to this point is there's a connector here. You want to take your spudger tool and remove this connector here, and then there's another connector back in here which is kind of hard to get to. You want to pry that up, and then before we get too far here, let me try to zoom in here a little maybe. There's this microphone part here that's in this rubber part here. See if I can pick it up to show you. Right here in this part. So you'll have to very carefully pry up on that, try to get that microphone to come up. This microphone will pop up, and then it has this rubber piece that's on it. Don't worry if that falls off, just set it to the side. And then just make sure that this microphone, here I'll use my tweezers so you can see better. Make sure it pops up and is loose out of the spot there. You don't want to tear that off, that's critical. So next you want to do the coaxial cables here, or whatever you want to call them. They're cables anyways. Use your tweezers and pop them off for your antenna wires. There's a white one there, and then there's another black one here. And just go slow and careful. Sometimes they pry off kind of hard, sometimes you have to kind of rock them back and forth. I don't know why this one's being so stubborn today. So just be careful with that. And then, so you want to go back to your spudger pry tool and slide in under here, and there's adhesive under here now, so gently pry up. Make sure none of these things catch on here, and watch these things as well. These ones here, they like to, right in here, they like to stick. There's adhesive there, so watch as you're prying up. And then you may have to pry in here. Oh, there we go. So yeah, just pull that back. What was happening is it was, like I said earlier, it was sticking right in there. So then just pull that out. And there's your charging port, headphone jack, everything included right there. To reinstall the charging port, dock connector, everything you want to call it, watch these connectors here that are sticking up. There's a notch for them. If you pull this apart like this, you can see there's a notch for them for that to slip past there. And you will have to line up this hole with that spot right there. And it's kind of a tight fit. I mean, it's just, you just have to be careful setting stuff in there. Just remember it has adhesive for it to stick down. So now the first thing you want to do, it's kind of tight in here. This is the one that was tight earlier. So with the help of the tweezers or whatever you need to do, get this connector right in here next to the headphone jack stuck down properly. And this might feel like it's not sitting down the best, but it'll sit down. The speaker assembly helps to hold it in. So then put that connector in right there. If you can see what I'm pointing at, right, that one there. And then So the one critical thing then is this microphone right here. So that rubber thing that I was telling you about earlier, you need to find that, and you need to turn it right so the hole lines up with the little hole on the microphone. And then what I found is if you might have to mess with this a little bit. If you kind of squeeze it together, not too hard, squeeze it together and sit it down in there together with the tweezers, and it pushes right down in there. You have to make sure that this is folded right. The fold is turned up. The bend there is turned up. Sort of like, imagine that as an elbow, and this is your wrist down here, and yeah. So if that makes any sense. So anyways, make sure that's seated in there right. Next we'll get our cables back in place. Make sure they snap in properly. Somehow I got them crossed here a little bit. The white one has to stay to the other side of this black one here. Okay. So then next, make sure that this wire is down in its right channel. It's got one on both ends. Also make sure that this thing here has room to sit down beside the wire. Like that. Hopefully that was showing okay. So now that that's back in, we go on to the next step. To put in the speaker assembly, there's no particular way that it has to go. You can just set it straight on there. Like that, make sure it sets down. And then put in your 5 screws. I would recommend putting the corner ones in first, make sure everything's pulled down, and then fill in the rest. Now to reinstall the logic cover, you just take it and set it down on top of there. There's a couple clips on the top part here that snap in. Otherwise it just sets on top. So what I would recommend is to put in the 2 corner ones, and then these 2 corners, so all 4 corners, and then I would put in the black screw that goes here before you forget it, and then that's the only one that's different. The rest are all the same. To put the back cover back on, I would just set it on here. Then you can start anywhere. You can start at the top and just make sure that it's lined up. Start snapping things together. Just go down around the side. Keep going around. Make sure that it's popped in everywhere. There's no clips in the middle. And then last but not least, put in your SIM card tray. And your SIM card, whatever you have. So there we go. Thanks for watching.